microphone, so I think I'll throw caution to the wind.
There you go.
Well, it was some time ago when I found myself thrust into the dating world again for the first time since Richard Nixon was in the White House. And looking at this audience, I realized that some of you weren't born in an age when you'd remember Nixon, and apparently, maybe even your parents weren't old enough to remember him. So trust me, it was a long time ago. And I was reliably informed by my adult sons that dating wars had changed quite a bit since the 1970s. And they were a bit concerned about Dad's ability to navigate that brave new world without assistance. And to that end, they prepared a cheat sheet for me, which they helpfully entitled Dating Do's and Don'ts for Dad. And it contained a whole list of things they thought I should know, for like, you don't bring flowers and candy on dates anymore, and you don't open car doors, and you don't even pay for dinner necessarily. They split bills now and so forth. And I read these things because there was a lot more, and I asked them, quite seriously, does this really work for you? Because to my eyes, it reads more, not like a dating manual, but more like a list of the reasons why you two are still bachelors. I don't have any grandchildren yet. But fortunately, I had a buddy who was about my age and had been dating for decades, and fancied himself an expert in middle-aged dating. And I say middle-aged as opposed to geriatric, because this was about 12 years ago, and I still had some hair and half of it was still dark. And he took me under his wing, and we went to places where folks our age go to meet other folks our age, and I watched him do his thing. And it was kind of exciting at first, but it rapidly became very depressing for two main reasons. First of all, his methodology, if I can call it that, was Trumpian before that word was even known. A combination of vulgarity and so forth. But even worse, he was successful. And my being myself just wasn't working out at all, because he'd go home with a different companion every night, and I'd go home alone. And I started to get a little depressed, and I was thinking, well, maybe I am too old for this. Maybe I need a dog and a subscription to Netflix and just call it a day. And it was in that frame of mind that I found myself in a grocery store one evening, walking down the aisle with my plastic bucket filled with 6-pack of Diet Pepsi and a jar of Skippy peanut butter. Basically bachelor dinner for a guy who's never learned how to cook and hasn't prepared a hot meal for himself since college. And as I'm walking past this aisle, suddenly something attracts my attention at the end of the aisle. And there is this very attractive woman, about my own age, shoulder length, half gray, half blonde hair. And some instinct told me, to just pay attention. And while I'm standing there probably too long staring at her, I remembered one anecdote this expert buddy had told me about how he would occasionally meet women in grocery stores. And he explained this technique. He said, if you see somebody you like, you just go stand next to them, stare at the shelves, looking lost and helpless. You'll be a natural, he said. And if she likes you, she'll help you out, start a conversation. The rest is up to you. And, I'm thinking about this, and as I'm thinking, I'm realizing, you either do this or you don't, Jim. This is an attractive woman. She's caught your attention for some reason. You got a program. If you don't do this, you're going to go home to a thick book and a warm bath, but that's about it. Or you can, gather your courage and go talk to her. So I did. I took a deep breath. I walked down the aisle. I stood next to her, stared at the shelves, and I waited. And I waited. And I waited. And nothing happened. And my buddy's little anecdote didn't have a plan B in case things didn't work out the way they were supposed to. And I'm getting to the point where I need an exit so I can leave with whatever was left of my dignity. But fortunately, she finally spoke. Although what she said even, threw me into a deeper tiz. She said, "What kind of dog do you have?" And it's like, what? And she pointed to the shelf, and I realized I'm in the pet food aisle. I've been staring at a shelf of dog food, and I don't have a dog. I don't have any pet. And what's worse, I don't have an answer. And she's waiting. I mumbled, the truth. I don't have a dog. She's looking at me, and tick tock, the conversation started. This is my opportunity. I gotta say something. What do I say? And the subconscious is a funny thing. Every once in a while, it'll come to your rescue. It digs back into that archive, and pulls out something that's, right for the moment, and you're off to the races. And fortunately, that happened, or something close to it. I said to her, I don't have a dog. I'm on the dog food diet. And she gives me this kind of strange look, but I plow ahead. I said, no, a buddy of mine, told me about it. It's something about, it's one of these things up here, dry dog food, they're in little nuggets. You grab a handful, you put them in your pocket, and whenever you're hungry, you pop a few. They're completely nutritious, and they don't taste so good that you're liable to overeat. And anyway, he lost 50 pounds before, sadly, he ended up in the hospital. And what I didn't know then, but I quickly discovered, this woman is a nurse. And she proceeded to explain in precise scientific detail the differences between canine and human digestion that likely accounted for my friend's hospitalization. And, okay, I let her talk, and I'm smiling to myself, because I know I got her now. And when she was finished, I said, geez, that's fascinating. But the way my buddy told it, he was just out for his morning walk, and when he lifted his leg to pee on a fire hydrant, he got hit by a bicycle. Boom, she was out of there. That car, 2 wheels didn't touch the ground before she was out of the parking lot. And I'm smiling to myself, because how often do you get a chance to dig into your repertoire and come up with the perfect joke? To save the occasion. But it wasn't perfect, because my mission had been to meet this woman and strike up a conversation, not send her fleeing, to the parking lot with her hair on fire. Okay, I blew it. It happens. I finished shopping. I'm walking to the checkout counter, and there she is. I guess, she didn't flee the building or call the cops, and she's checking out. So I gave myself a little pep talk. I said, this is your second chance. You go out there and you talk to this woman, and you don't make some stupid joke. So I walk up to where she's, checking out, and she's sticking her, credit card into the machine, and the machine goes beep, 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 and it's rejecting the card. And I said, yeah, I'll be the hero. I'll pay for her groceries. And as I'm fumbling in my pocket for my wallet, she reaches into her bag and pulls out a checkbook. Now, for some of you, I know, checkbooks, what's that? Well, this is 10 more years ago. We still use checkbooks. And she writes a check and hands it to the cashier together with her license. And, I've blown my second opportunity. But then, God bless him, that checkout guy asked the question that changed my life. He said, I'm going to need a phone number for that. You got one? Yes. So I catch her looking at her side of her eye. And, you know, she recites the phone number. I kind of cut my hand behind my ear because even then my hearing was starting to fade. And, you know, and finally I said to her, okay, now that I've got your number, do you mind if I use it? And she kind of looked at me. She didn't say anything. And I could see in the next second or two, you know, all sorts of emotions cross her face. Suspicion, you know, curiosity, annoyance, acceptance maybe. And finally, what she said was, well, if you use it, you're going to find out, aren't you?
Oh.
And that's the first time I met Ann. We've been together 11 years now, almost 12. Last 5 of them married. And it's all been really, really great, truthfully, with one minor exception. She can still get really kind of squirrely if I tell her I'm going out to the grocery store.